Welcome to this episode of Hypno Geeks podcast. It's good to be back. I've not done a podcast for ages. And I was just checking before, I'm going to read my notes now, that still 1 in 4 people are struggling with mental health and mental illness. And that is 45.8 million people, 45.8 million people in England. That's just England. I just looked at England statistics. That's a lot of people, isn't it? who
That's
who
giving me
need
goosebumps.
help, who need help with their mental health, and apparently 61% of those people are not accessing services because either they can't, or they don't want to, or they don't feel comfortable to, or the services are not available. And we, as hypnotherapists and coaches, therapists, all the different therapies that we offer, we have got so many solutions for these people, but we need to put on our business hat as well. We need to be business people, and we need to be marketers, and we need to probably know a little bit about tech too. And it can be a little bit of a wild journey. We're all really kind and gentle and lovely, and we want to look after people and nurture people and heal people and empower people and support all of these millions of people who need our help. But we have to be seen, we have to be heard, and we have to kind of know a little bit about what we're doing. So in today's podcast, we are diving a deep dive into the world of business development for therapists, hypnotherapists mostly, but all therapists, coaches, and any kind of health professionals will also benefit from listening or watching this episode, because my guest today is the incredible, I feel like I need a drum roll, Zoe Thompson, who is the founder of Build It Brilliant. She has got the most amazing, I think it's a team now, but I'm going to find out from you later because she's like had a big explosion and doing all sorts of exciting things. But she is possibly the most innovative person I know, and she's got the most amazing platform that is dedicated 100% to really supporting people like you, people like me, to establish your business, to grow your business, and to keep you really like up to date with everything and on the ball, and on your game, so that it takes all of the stress out and all of the challenge and all the difficulty out of being present, being seen, and really sharing your beautiful messages that you want to get out there. Zoe's had her own journey, and I'm going to get her to tell you about that because she's a good old down to earth lady, and she's definitely not had the most easy of starts, and that's why I like her, because she's real. But she's journeyed from her kind of private practice business into really recognizing that so many of us just get like completely overwhelmed by TikTok and socials and websites and techie stuff. And actually, we get really overwhelmed by creating our businesses. Often we have loads of ideas and things that we want to do, and we don't need to get overwhelmed if we're gonna work in partnership with Zoe. She is an expert in website support, building and developing. She can do magic things with WordPress, and she can set things up on Squarespace, and she can help create and craft the most amazing strategies to just you can just focus on what you're good at and what you love and what you're passionate about. So we're going to explore Zoe's approach. I'm going to get some awesome ideas from her, and welcome Zoe. Welcome to Hypno Geeks podcast. Thanks
Very
for
much.
coming.
What an intro. What an intro. Yeah, what a journey. I set up my business in 2011, so it's lovely to kind of have an intro like that because you don't realize sort of how far you come really sometimes.
I know.
Um,
Well, we've met
Journey's
we
changing.
met a little while ago, and you actually did a really helpful like masterclass for my students in
Mm.
in sort of helping just think of some of the building blocks that they can put in place to get going. And you have got your Build It Brilliant book as well, which is we'll talk a bit more about. But we saw each other recently at the Northern College of Clinical Hypnotherapy at the Learning Retreat. You came and had some dinner with us. I don't think
Yep.
I have laughed. so much in ages. It was just really good fun to just hang out with you in such a gorgeous place.
It was such an evening. It was one for the books, one for the memories,
And I
definitely.
think we ended up saying that we were going to do something on a tuk-tuk and cross India, which we do have
Yeah.
to talk about that.
It's still on my list. It's still
I
there.
think we should definitely
You've
have a proper
sparked something in me
conversation.
that is growing and it's exciting, and I will blame you for for that one.
So if you see us on a tuk-tuk at some point in the future, it might be a bit further in the future than right now, but it could be happening soon, crossing India on a tuk-tuk. It was a conversation we had, so you never know where these conversations can take you. And it's conversations that we were talking about before about how we need to start. How do we start? And a lot of the ways that we start is to have a conversation
Yeah.
with somebody about what it is that we do and what it is that we can provide.
Yeah, and I think that people overcomplicate that. I was saying that a lot of people that I work with, a lot of times when we're talking about strategy, most of the time I'm kind of simplifying rather than giving them more, because I think, especially with the world the way it is, you kind of feel like you have to do all of these things and you're not going to succeed unless you do all this stuff.
Hmm.
When in reality, all that does is overwhelm you, and you end up kind of procrastinating and not doing anything because you think, I don't really know what to do or what technology to choose or what thing to say or how to put it out. And when you get overwhelmed with all of that stuff, the answer is, well, I don't do any of it. I
Right.
see I see that a lot in people who are this kind of frozen, not doing anything because they're scared to do something wrong, or they're scared to, they just have no, they just think, oh gosh, this is really complicated and I don't really know what to do. So a lot of what I do is usually simplifying and easing something rather than,
Yeah, there's a lot of
yeah.
fantastic people on socials, amazing therapists who are absolutely at the top of their game and they're doing incredibly well. And when you look at their profiles, their Facebook pages, their TikTok profiles, whatever it is, whatever platforms they're on, it looks polished. The message is really clear. They've got bazillions of followers. They look like they're amazing. And when you're right at the very beginning, and you're just thinking about what your business name might be called, that can be hugely off-putting, actually, but hugely overwhelming.
You just think, what's the point? What's the point in me even kind of giving this a go or giving this a try? Um, there's a gulf between me and them, and making it feel like it's really not worth the effort. And I think that's a real shame because um, when I help people, I say to them, like, because we are the therapist, we're the person that helps, we're the person that runs the business. I could I could give somebody a topic and ask 10 people to come back to me with an idea on that topic, and all 10 would be completely different. They'd have a
Absolutely.
different voice, they'd be a different style, a different shape, a different length, a different idea. Like that, there's just so many opportunities for the way that you could get out there and the way that you could get your messaging across. um
Mhm.
and there's the stats that you shared at the very beginning of this. There is people out there that will resonate with that message and who want that type of answer to that
Mhm.
problem. But
Mhm.
I could put 10 people out there and they can all be at success. It's not necessarily about their success takes away the potential of you being success. Like,
Mm.
we can all have it. There's plenty of people and there's plenty of
There's
opportunity
plenty of
there.
air.
There's plenty of it. There's plenty, and that's but I think in my heart, the reason why I set up Build It Brilliant is because I'm so passionate about this industry, about the helping professions. But
Yeah.
then it really hurts me that we don't get that quality support that we deserve. And so many people just, let's say, get overwhelmed and get lost and
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 then end up
just
doing nothing for years, and they've paid a
right.
fortune to get a really good a really good quality
Quality.
qualification. I just make up my own words sometimes, and a good quality qualification. They've worked hours, they put so much effort into it. They went into it with a dream about what they would like to do with it, and then they're like, "Okay, I've got this piece of paper now, I'm ready to go."
Yeah, and
And
I
that's where
can't
it
be as
stays.
good as, Joe or Sandra or David. So then they sit at home going, "Oh well, that was a pipe dream. Let's not bother." Um, and that to me is just not okay. And and when you go to business support, it's very businessy. Like they're usually for kind of small, medium type businesses, usually a hell of a lot bigger than our little hypnotherapy world. And therefore you go and then you just feel like either the advice isn't suitable for you or it's
Mm,
not aimed at you, or you have to spend hours kind of deciphering, well, how does that work for my business? How do I implement
yeah.
in my way, on my terms? And that's hours that you think, oh God, how many hours does this have to take? And me and you have both been there and been through that experience.
Well, what I
I
like
think we need
about
to
your
share.
story is that you didn't have like a huge budget. And that's the other thing. I think, you look at the cost of platforms and funnels and websites and you think,
Yeah.
I need to have a massive amount of money. I need a huge budget. And neither of us had a budget at all, really. Like, I know your story, but t tell us the story because I absolutely love how you got going and how you did it without really.
With absolutely, yeah, we're both from that ilk. So I I was in a corporate job. I was working as a learning and development consultant, and at the time I was really interested in kind of e-learning, so putting kind of learning together and delivering it, and had the big corporate job. And it was what I originally thought I really wanted to do and was my dream, but slowly but surely, as very often within these corporate jobs, your dream, you sort of sit there going, what the hell am I doing? And it wasn't very fulfilling. So my original training, I actually did whilst in the corporate job, and it was through personal interest, really,
Mm.
of why I ended up training in hypnotherapy and a few other things as well. It was through personal interest, and I was integrating it really into my corporate role, and I never really had this plan that I was gonna start using it as a therapeutic business or be an entrepreneur or set up my own business or anything like that. And then the frustration just started getting worse and eating at me from that corporate place. I wrote a little, I also really love kind of creative writing. So I wrote a little poem the other day about the day I quit. So maybe I should share that with people
Oh, yeah.
outside of this, but I'll share it with you. And I just got to a point where I was like, what am I doing? And do I want to get to the end of my days and this be kind of what my life has been?
Yeah.
And I literally walked in one day and handed in my notice and just went, I quit. And some people called me stupid, they called me brave, they like people sort of looked at me like I'd lost some rationale or something. I had about 750 quid. And I set up my kind of therapeutic business for Refresh Minds from that point. And I would I recommend that to other people? No. I think the journey was so hard. So I did a minimum budget and said, I need this amount of money per month. How can I cover that? And then I had a random conversation with my brother, and he said, I will pay you that for 3 days a week to manage my play center. And I just thought, fine, I'll do that. So
Brilliant.
I went and worked 3 days a week and for the play center to earn my minimum amount of money, just to keep a roof over my head and food on the
Yeah.
table. And then the rest of the time, I was like, right, make this business work. And I failed so many times at so many things. And I just kept going. I think that kind of dogged determination and keep coming back back to why you're doing it. And for me, it's always been around like this life is not a dress rehearsal. This is your life. And what do you want to get to the end of your days to say that you've done? And does that
Yeah.
mean you're going to have to do hard things? Yes. Does that mean that you're going to have to face the scary things you can't do? Yes. But does it mean that you'll have a wicked time and you'll just have these huge kind of experiences in life?
Hmm.
Yeah, it will. And to me, that's living. I don't want to just exist. I want to live.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that means
Taking some
doing the
challenges,
really, really hard things.
doing some really tough stuff. Well, I really similar in that I started with nothing. I got sober recently, and when I started, I was only about a year into my recovery journey. So that year had been 3 months of shaking and quaking and detoxing and working out who am I and feeling the ups and downs of experiencing emotions again after years of having everything sort of numbed out and blocked out. And I'd come back from working in the Middle East. So I'd come from a really hot country back to UK climate. And it was the year that we had that horrible storm, the Beast from the East or whatever it was. And so I came and I was like, look at everybody. I was like taking loads of footage of people and sending it out to the Middle East, go, look at the snow. And then thinking, oh my God, look at the snow. So I like landed in freezing cold conditions with I had a suitcase that had 60 kilos in it, or 65 kilos maybe. I had a pair of moldy old Birkenstocks that I'd literally gone around the world in, a swimming costume.
Useful in the snow.
Birkenstocks are not that good either. And had a desert rose rock that I'd dug out of the desert in Saudi, and not a lot else really. I was sofa surfing and just thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I'd trained in NLP and hypnosis previous years, but I'd forgotten nearly all of it and really needed
Yeah,
to retrain. So I hit the reset button and retrained and went and got myself a massage couch off Facebook Marketplace and just started going around people's homes. And I needed a job to just cover the bills to survive. So I was getting up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. sometimes, and I was getting into work for 6 a.m. and I was doing caring work. So I was helping other people get out of bed and get washed and get dressed. And then I was getting a quick shower and change. And then I was going into my office and then I was
yeah,
like preparing and planning and scheming and plotting. So it was quite a lot of work, but it was a happy work
yeah,
because I was doing something for me that was benefiting me. I didn't have a boss as such. I mean, I had some
yeah,
bosses, but I could, if I felt tired, I could just have a nap. And I did often just lie on the floor with my snuggly blankets and cushions and just have a bit of a nana nap in the middle of the afternoon. And I was doing group stuff.
oh,
Um, so I started doing group sessions, and there was 4 people at my first session.
yeah. I've done
Didn't
things with like
even
two
cover,
people and
didn't even cover the cost of the room hire.
yeah,
So I was like, and then those 4 people said, we'll bring a friend. And I was like, bring a friend and I'll let you have it for half price. Oh, brilliant. We'll bring 2 friends then.
yeah,
So I was doing like twofers, and it started at 4 and then it went up to 16. And then I started a second night and then I started a third night and then I was doing 3 nights a week, doing group sessions for specific things and for general things as well. And all of those people either referred someone to me or actually became my client, became
yeah,
clients myself. And that's what established my business. Um, so there was a few months of driving around in my dad's car that he couldn't drive anymore, with the back seat stacked high with squishy cushions and blankets and yoga mats to set up groups, and essential oils and candles, and
Yeah.
the amount of stuff you carry in your car.
This is probably part of my story that nobody know, very few people know, and I don't really share that much. But I didn't start off with the Refresh Minds. I actually started off as the wedding karma.
Did
I
you?
did. So my first
I
idea,
love that idea though.
and I know, and if I went back now and started it again, I could absolutely make that business a success. So maybe
Yeah.
there's a lesson in what I learned from doing it and not and failing miserably. Anyway, I was going to wedding fairs and offering sort of help with kind of speeches, speech nerves, weight loss, anything to do with weddings really. And yeah, as the wedding karma. And I did that for about 18 months. And out of that 18 months, I'm going to let you guess how many clients I had.
In 18 months, I would have
Yeah.
thought quite a few. 20 good weddings?
One.
One.
One. 18 months worth of work and hard work and effort and all of that. And I
One
got
client.
one client in 18 months.
Well, that's a bit
Uh,
painful.
yeah, talk about a reality slap in the face.
Mm.
It really was. And then I went, okay, 18 months is long enough to try that idea out. And I switched and did the Refresh Minds and kind of switched completely in the direction. It wasn't the idea of the wedding karma that was bad, actually. Kind of linked to the strategy and what I teach now. The strategy was appalling. The idea was good, but the strategy was
Yeah.
terrible. It just wasn't there at all. So I think if I picked up the wedding karma and went back again, I'd do it completely differently. And the lesson for me in that was around um, really thinking about what the customer needs and building the business in the way that is structured for that kind of market. So I'd done one-to-one work. So the solution that I'd gone into that market with is one-to-one work. And the reason why I only got one client is because who, when they're planning their wedding, has time for one-to-one therapy? Who is going to prioritize the money in the budget over the wedding dress, the cake, or the flowers for therapy? The answer is
Mm.
one
Not many.
person.
Not many people.
One
Yeah. Yeah.
person in
One
18 months.
person.
So it was a huge failure in that sense. But I think the learning out of it was also huge because it taught me about. I went to so many wedding fairs and kind of put myself out there, and it got me chatting to people, and it got that kind of confidence of chatting to people. Um, so there was lessons, and I think the strategy and the business strategy side of things really kind of slapped me in the face of how important that is to match your ideas to your market.
Interesting how we've both had quite expensive learning curves. I like that we're talking about failures tonight, because fail is first attempt in learning. They're
Yeah, but
lessons,
I'd
aren't
love to
they?
think it goes well, but it really doesn't. It's awful. It's absolutely flipping awful.
So I was brand new in the area and nobody knew me, and I didn't have a
Yeah,
network or a tribe as such around me, and people didn't know me and they didn't know what I
yeah,
did and they didn't know my skills, and I really didn't want them to know about my background. So I was like I was fr a fresh face in
yeah,
in quite an established town of the therapists that have been there for many, many years. And I didn't feel particularly welcome in that space.
yeah.
I don't think I was a threat. I think I was just another, like
Just a
a
new.
new face, and they were like, "Oh, who are you?" So I ran some well-being fairs. It started with I did some public speaking and some demo sessions for Parkinson's, the charity.
No, right.
On the back of that, they were looking for a way of doing some fundraising, and I was like, "We'll do a well-being fair." So I actually organised a wellbeing fair for 55 different practitioners. So it wasn't as 55
That's not.
stands.
Yeah,
It
that's not
wasn't a
small.
small one. And I took over the Yorkshire Hotel in Harrogate. All like 3 floors. They've got beautiful top floor.
Wow.
So on the bottom floor we had like healing and different crystals and all sorts of different things going on. And then in the middle floor we had workshops and sound healing and stuff like that. Then on the top floor we had all stalls around the edge, and in the middle we had belly dancers and everything, and it was incredible. And it cost me money to do it because I ended up having to put my hand in my own pocket to cover things.
Was this while you were still couch surfing?
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. Still couch surfing. Didn't have anywhere to live at this point. Still, I think I was living on my friend's sofa at this point. But do you know what was really good about it? It was the networking.
Yeah.
It was meeting nutritionalists and massage therapists, because the massage therapists became my the best ally, because they
Yeah.
would say, I've been working with this client with head, neck, and shoulder tension because they're stressed for 6 months.
And I
And
don't know what to do with them.
spend months kneading and getting them all softened up, and they feel all good and pain free, and they go out and 2 weeks later they're back going, oh, it's all. I need somebody who can work with the mindset side of things, with the mental health
Yeah.
and mental well-being side of things. Can you help? Yes, I can. So nutritionalists, we've got somebody who knows what to eat, knows what to do, just keeps, having issues with
Yeah.
the relationship with food. Can you do? Yes, I can work with that. And then I got really into women's well-being and women's health, and that became something.
Did you only ever run that day once?
I did a big one at the Yorkshire Hotel. That was the first one, and I ran that completely by myself.
Wow.
I don't know, I don't like I would never do it again in that on
Yeah.
that scale. I ran a second one a year later, and it was a slightly smaller event. But actually we raised a lot more money for Parkinson's at that one, I
Yeah.
think, because it was a smaller event and fun. But another opportunity again to just meet loads of people and network with loads of people. And that's what I needed to do. I needed to go, hello, I'm here and I exist,
Yeah.
and this is what I can do. And then, and kind of form connections with other well-being practitioners who could then refer to me. So I'm not suggesting you put a well-being event on, but you could go to somebody else's fair and either have a stand there
I
or go
think
and just network.
it's reminding me of one of the things that I kind of help people with,
Mm,
which is have a go. Like
yeah,
there's something about you don't know what's going to come out of that opportunity, but there's a balance between doing something in a strategically sensible way and having a go at stuff that's ridiculous and silly. But there is something about saying how out of your ideas, think, right, okay, what's the sort of sensible-ish thing to do, but then have a go. So I've launched so many things on an idea, and then sort of said, I'll figure it out along the way, and I'll thrash it out along the way. But so many people wait until they've got this formed perfect thing before they will then have a go. And sometimes it's who you
absolutely.
meet at an event, or it's that thing leads to another thing that leads to somebody finding out about you that leads to something else. And we kind of need to let go of having everything formed and everything clear, and just kind of say, actually, what's the simplest way that I could get out there or talk to people or connect, or what do I fancy doing, and doing it in a way that is structurally and financially sensible, maybe learning from some of our lessons. But on the other hand, give it a go. On the other hand, you've got to give it a go. You've got to,
I just threw myself in the deep end with very little strategy, and just, an idea and a desire to want to raise some money for Parkinson's. That was definitely my
mm,
heart. I wanted to raise plenty of money. But I wanted to network as well. And it was just a fantastic networking opportunity. I still know a lot of those people that I met at those events, and I'm still friends with a lot of those people that I
yeah.
met at those events.
You
It was
don't know what's going
definitely
to come
worth
out of it.
doing.
You don't know what's going to come out of it, and sometimes some action is better than no action. Like,
Yeah.
get out there and do something and try something is better than sitting there going, oh, I'm gonna start my hypnotherapy business tomorrow, one day, when I've got all my ideas together,
Next week, when
when
my
I
confidence is
when my
blowing
confidence
over, when I've
is
got my
better,
confidence.
when I've practiced my hypnotherapy skills and know exactly what I'm doing with clients, like that is not
No,
actually
this is
how
the
you
whole thing of knowing
well,
exactly what we're doing, because, like, I've been at it for a number of years now, and I don't know what I'm doing
yeah,
exactly.
I yeah,
If I ever feel or I ever say that I know exactly what I'm doing, I'm either delusional or, I'm really should be not doing what I'm doing, because I think you learn a set of skills, you learn a set of tools and techniques, and then you take them into the therapy room and you completely adapt them to whoever is sat in front of you. Most of my graduates don't tend to work with scripts. So
yeah,
we kind of you're working with what the person in front of you is telling you, you're recognizing what their needs are, you're setting unique objectives with them. How can you be 100% certain? How can you be 100% confident? Because what we're making it up as we go along based on a lot of information that we have.
isn't that how we learn?
Of
Like
course
I
it
always say to people,
is.
if you want to learn how to be a fantastic therapist, get some clients in front of you.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
actually working with clients, you will learn so much quicker than sitting and thinking about how you'd be a hypnotherapist. It's like I, you can sit and think about it as much as you like, but the learning
Mhm.
happens when you actually do it. And unfortunately, that's an uncomfortable place for many people to be because you're gonna have to give yourself the opportunity to say, I'll try. I'll give it a go. I'll see what happens. I'll do this and we'll see and let go
Mhm.
of we can't go into building a business. We can't go into therapeutic client work with all the answers because that's impossible. You have to give yourself permission to go in on this, let's give it a go and see what happens kind
Be
of.
calm, be curious, be
Yeah.
compassionate. Create the therapeutic space. Everything else we're making up as we go along.
Yeah, everything else will figure out. And you know what? The first time you do anything is probably going to be rubbish. Like my first YouTube video was rubbish. My first blog was rubbish. My first newsletter, rubbish. The first time that you do stuff, there's something these days, again, with the world of social media and the world of that kind of stuff, you kind of feel like you have to have all the tech and all the know-how and be fantastic at it. And that's not how we learn. Like, be
Yeah.
rubbish. Allow yourself to be rubbish. Allow yourself to try. Because my YouTube videos now are a hell of a lot better and I can do them pretty quick. But the first time that I did them, it wasn't that great.
I
And
love your YouTube channel.
thank
It's
you.
got so much on it that is really helpful. Like, I need to create some kind of fabulous PDF that I can attach to something, and I want it to have something embedded in it, or I want to have a nice image on it. And you've got videos that will step by step take somebody who has absolutely no idea what they're doing and show them how to use something like Canva or
Yeah.
other tools and techniques to just kind of create what we need um,
Yeah.
ourselves.
I
Brilliant. I love it.
thank you. it was born out of this. People kept telling me that they're a technophobe, and
Yeah,
I was like, "What? Um, you've just never been shown. We can all learn how to click buttons when you know which buttons to click. Like, it's just
that's
the
it,
fact
isn't it?
that you don't know kind of what to press or what to do. So I started the YouTube channel a good couple of years ago now. And it was just about how can I show you where to go, what to click, and what's what. So that then you can watch it. Most of them are under 10 minutes. So they're
Yeah, I
really
love it.
short, snappy videos just about, right, go here, do this, click here, do that. Um, and it's about that confidence building and demystifying the world of tech. And they've helped so many people since I started them, because I can say to people, oh, you don't know how to do that, go and have a look at this video. Or explaining something. Like the website ones are really popular, because websites and can you like, what do I choose and what's the difference and what's this all
Yeah.
about, and explaining the terminology and explaining what how it works, and then people go, oh right, okay, well now I can choose something from a educated and informed point of view with what's right for me and what's right for my business and what I might need, and not go A and spend loads of time researching stuff, and B not spend money on stuff that I really don't need. um so I do love the channel, and I do love what it's become. But it certainly didn't happen overnight, and it certainly didn't happen by me sitting thinking about creating a YouTube channel.
Well, there's
uh, you know
absolutely lashings and lashings of amazing information there that would really help somebody
yeah.
who has no techie skills, who is a technophobe, who declares that they are a technophobe, to be able to do a lot of things that are going to really serve their business.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a bit more about strategy, because we spoke about, I didn't really have a strategy when I
No, neither did I.
started. I was
And
just
that's
taking it
why
as it
that
went
first
along.
business failed in big magnitudes.
And also, we're both fans of keeping it simple, because we've both had experiences where we're working and we're building a business, and that's a juggling, a balancing act, isn't it? And it's like I've got to look after my energy. I've got to take care of myself as well, so that I'm in good shape and not burnt out. And there's when you're building your business and you may be transitioning out of, there's no such thing as job stability or job security nowadays, I don't think, is there? 12 and 18-month contracts and all the rest of it, that's out and about really. But it's sometimes from going from having a salary every month to having to have a self-employed income, which is 100% reliant on you now. That feels quite scary for a lot of people. So quite often people like reduce the hours that they're working and then increase the hours that they're working with in self-employment. And then there's the times where you're exhausted and you're doing too much, and you don't want to step out, you don't want to step. So a good strategy is what we really need to have in place.
Oh,
Tell
it's
me all about strategy.
gold dust is strategy. And somebody once said to me, strategy isn't interesting. I was like, you're getting your strategy from a wrong person, because I make strategy incredibly interesting. Because if you're not interested in it, then what is the point in doing it? Like if you're not in, the strategy is about pulling out of you what you care about, what you're passionate about. But I think the biggest mistake that people make, I think, right back at the beginning. So say you've got a job that's 3 days a week, and then the other 2 days you've got working on your business. They
Hmm.
don't think about the strategy at that point. So they end up filling those 2 days with work, but then realizing that the way in which they've built their business doesn't allow them to grow it, because there's not enough hours to make it bigger. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're kind of stuck working the 3 day job, because you haven't built the business in a way that allows you to then change the money, because you're like, well, I can earn X amount of pounds in 2 days. Well, yeah, but that's never going to grow bigger than 2 days, because there's only one of you and there's only 2 days. So then you can't. ditch your 3 day job, and you kind of end up in this stuckness.
Yeah.
Um, and that's the bit for me. I think a really good strategy should be built in with an idea of what that full-time opportunity might look like, and how we can make use of your 2 days to get you to that long-term strategy or that long-term plan. Because
And if you were
ultimately
in
that's
that
what's going to get you
situation
there.
and you did just have 2 days, what would you be prioritizing, do you think, in those 2 days? I mean, obviously having a strategy is definitely a good idea, but what
Yeah,
would you be
I think
prioritizing in terms
so.
of
The thing, I
activity?
think it's easy to say what not to. I think a lot of
Okay.
people spend time on business name, branding,
Yeah.
website,
Yeah.
and you go, like, none of that is really that important, but people feel like I can't get started until I've got this stuff. And it's not actually going to lead you to the business. It's not as important as you think it is. So it's about focusing on what's important. And I think it's about coming up with an idea and saying, how do I get out to the world with this one thing?
Yeah.
Like exactly what you did in that instance. You said the groups. I can I can take this one group idea on this one topic and say, I can help you with this. Who's interested? You've got
Mm-hmm.
6 people, and then you've got 10 people, and then
Mm-hmm.
you've got 16 people. But it
Mm-hmm.
was within the same hours. It was within the same, you were still delivering a group in the same hours. And that is something that you can grow.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than, I think people think, oh, right, I'm going to do these 20 things and offer all of these services. And then you end up with one-to-one clients filling your 2 days, but the money isn't going to grow from there because you've got no time left.
Look.
You're
Yeah.
stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
It's a bit of a
it,
glass ceiling with income as well, isn't there? Because you're only going to have so many hours in a day and so much energy in a day to work with
you
those
need to be
clients.
clever. You need to be clever about how you spend those hours and how you spend that energy, in
Hmm.
order to think, right, I've got a plan of how I can turn this into a full-time opportunity, because then you can keep marketing, keep getting out there, keep making connections and growing your income, which will lead you to a point that you can ditch the 3 day job.
And this
But
is this is what you do. You work
yeah,
one to one with
absolutely.
people
Yeah.
and you help them create that unique strategy for them.
Yeah, so that's the reason that I wrote the book. So the Build It Brilliant Blueprint is the book. I wrote it as a coffee table read, not something that's technically written in terms of it's simple. It's written
I
in a
love it.
quick way, and it's about saying you can spend a small amount of money on the book and get a really good foundation of how you build a business strategy that is effective. Then on the back of that, I do half-day strategy sessions. So if somebody's like, right, just need someone to sit down with me and take all of my ideas and turn it into something that makes sense, then
Yeah.
I hold people's hands through that, and help them to kind of find out what their magic is, or their voices, or their ideas are, where to get started, how to formulate that into something that makes sense. And my aim really is anybody that has those half days should really leave feeling very excited about what they're
Yeah.
doing. Otherwise, what they're not going to have the determination that's required if they're not excited about and
The,
passionate
the,
about
the
it.
excitement and the passion and the drive and the love for it really is very important, isn't it?
It's
And
huge.
I think also having a vision of what you want to achieve from it for yourself, emotionally, physically, financially, what does an average day look like in your life as a hypnotherapist? Are you working from home? Are you working in a clinic? Are you working, like, how do you want it to be? And having that objective to move forward and because you're gonna have days where things just don't work out and things cost money, or you get robbed off someone, or you invest in something and you think it's going to be amazing and it turned out to be terrible, or you spend a lot of money on CPD because you really need this new technique and then you realize you've actually already learned that one and it's just
Yeah.
something else. And you're constantly in situations where you hit walls and you feel tired and it can be over. I don't want to put people off, but it's not easy. You have to, and so if you're not loving what you're doing, and if you haven't got that drive, that passion, that reason, that kind of that energy of this is something that I'm here for. This is my divine calling. This is my purpose. If you haven't got that, and if you haven't got an idea about what it is that you're moving towards, it's really difficult to keep going. It's really difficult to sustain your
And what
motivation.
came to mind for me is that you can build your business your way. And so for me,
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about traveling. We talked about, trips in India and that kind of stuff. I wanted that opportunity to be able to do those adventurous things that I really, really love. And yet when I started with Fresh Minds, even then, like, you'd have thought I'd learned from the wedding karma, but alas, there was more learning to do. I still kind of built a business in a way that didn't really allow me the kind of life that I wanted. Because I kind of felt like I didn't give myself permission to say it's okay to build the business that I want in the way that I want to allow me to do what I want.
Yeah.
Um, and you absolutely can, and you absolutely are allowed to say, I'm going to work in this way because it allows me to
Do you know,
have
when I
build the
set
life
up
that I
my
want.
business, I said to myself, I would like to create a business that I can run while I'm on a beach,
Yeah.
somewhere exotic. And I got completely off that whole thing and set up quite a traditional practice with a therapy room and got a very expensive flat and a very expensive space to rent. And it was all about, all right, how am I going to earn enough to cover all the bills? And how am I going to do this? And how am I going to do that? And every how am I gonna question, what I reflected on, it was keeping me off that beach. And I was like, hang on a minute. So
Oh, yeah.
years into the business, I'm now like in a place where I could, if I wanted to, run it
Yeah.
from the beach.
And
And
it's
how
not
liberating is that? It's
and
freedom, isn't it?
it's not necessarily that you're always going to work from a beach, but you want the opportunity to do it
Do.
if you want to. Um, I wanted the opportunity. I ride a motorbike. I'd kind of exhausted in corporate land. You can have 2 weeks off. I'd kind of exhausted the amount of trips I could do in 2 weeks, and sort of going, oh, but I long for something a little bit longer. And that
Yes.
doesn't mean I'm constantly on the road and I'm constantly doing it. But I can. And that's the thing where I've now spent a month traveling in Spain and Portugal, and then last year I spent a month in Thailand. You know, but I could never have got to that point without strategy. I'd never have got to that point if I didn't sit down at the beginning and say, what's the business that I want to create? What's the kind of life that I want? What am I passionate about? What is it that matters to me? And then how do I turn that into something that allows me to do and have those things? And that is what then you start working on and you start working towards. So yeah, lots of learning along the way. And
Scaling your impact as well, I think is really important. How do you like decide who you're going to reach, how much you're going to put out there, what you're going to do, talk to me a little bit about that because I know that's something that you really focus on in how you support people.
yeah, I think people have a delusion about how much they have to get that message out there to people in order to get clients. Um, a hell of a lot more is the answer than what you think. And you get a bit, if you are bored of saying the same messages over and over and over, then keep going. You kind of have this idea that I've put something out and therefore the world knows about it, which is
And I
so
can never
unbelievable.
repeat the same
And
thing
I'm never going to
again.
say that again. Where really, if you're going to scale something, it's more about saying, those core messages and saying them until you're blue in the face, until that's kind of what people know you for.
Mm.
Um, and I think with scaling, it's about incremental increases in that. So you're not sort of starting off and saying, loads of people ask me about like advertising, test something with free, and then when it works, put money behind it. Don't go off and spend an absolute fortune in Facebook ads in an idea that you don't even know whether that idea is going to work, because you're going to
Yeah.
lose a lot of money. Whereas if you trial something and you try something and you get it to a point where it's good and it's working, and
Mm.
then you put money behind it, you're going to amplify the effectiveness of that. You're going to get it out to more people. You're going to build the bigger impact. But it's about those incremental steps. And it's same with technology. I've seen so many people buy really fancy, shiny technology, and you sort of go, yeah, but where you are in terms of your who like your network and your reputation, and you're like right at the beginning of your journey, and yet you're spending money on this really fancy technology. Well, actually, this thing is a fraction of the price, and it's where you are now, and then you can get the more fancy microphones and lights, and you can grow when you've got something that is incrementally
Do you
better
know
than
some
what
of
you've got now.
the best advertising I've seen is just people taking the dog for a walk and talking about who they are and sharing the message. I'm seeing who they are in their home environment, so I feel like I'm getting to know them a little bit. I'm curious as to where they are and what they're doing, so they've grabbed my attention. And then they're talking to me about something that resonates with me. So I'm watching it to the end. And there's no fancy lighting. They're literally out for a walk with a dog talking to their cameras on their phones. I think it doesn't need to be beautiful. It doesn't need to be
Um,
perfect. It
one
needs
of
to resonate with
one of
your
my
audience.
members said, "Oh God, I can't do videos. I can't do videos for ages." She was like, "I can't do videos." And then I did a video for the membership, and I was just doing that. I was just out for a walk, and I just had
Yeah.
my camera and was just like, "Hi everyone," like that. And then she underneath, she went, "Well, I can do that." She had in her head that doing videos meant studio setup. It meant,
Yeah.
this kind of
Backdrops,
scripted,
green screens.
all these kind of things. And she was like,
Mm.
that's what I thought I needed to do. And she was like, I walk every day. I could just do
Just
that,
just do
you
it while
know?
I'm having a walk. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I mean
And
by
the
kind of
same message, you know, of
buying.
varieties of the same message. I think refining your message is really important. So you've set your business up, you've got an awesome strategy. They've come and worked with you. They've had an afternoon of really thrashing it out and tuning into their passions, their drives. You're going to give them some techie advice as well, so that they're not overwhelmed and scared. And there's loads of videos for them to watch. And they've had 1,000 amazing creative ideas, but they've finally managed to narrow it down to something that gives them loads of excitement and joy, and it lights them up when they think about helping these people. And now they're busy. Now they're working at full capacity. Now they've got emails popping up everywhere. People are messaging them on Facebook, on Insta, on TikTok. They've got WhatsApps coming out their ears. Nothing's integrated. Nothing is connected. They've got a calendar.
You're making me excited. Stop. I'm like, oh yeah, baby. I will absolutely like simplify that.
Because it's like I've had it, and I'll be honest, because I was not get set up for this. When I did like a campaign, and it worked.
Yeah.
I have emails I didn't have time to respond to the emails. I was having a chat with somebody, and I was thinking, was I chatting with them on Facebook? Was I chatting with them on WhatsApp? Where was it? And I'm like going through all my messages trying,
Yeah. It
was it
gets
a
to a
Sue?
point
Was it
where
a Barbara? Oh,
systems come
yeah.
into play. And when you go, whoa, hang on a minute, automation and systems and those sorts of stuff suddenly are a really sensible thing to do. So I had a client who came to me very much in that sort of situation. And when we were looking at it, she had 27 different systems, and
I'm
none of them
not
like
surprised.
spoke to each other, and none of them, I was just like, and she went, I'm really overwhelmed. And I went, I'm not flipping surprised.
I'm overwhelmed thinking about
Um,
it.
we got her down to five, and we got her down to 5 that
Mm,
that were set up and integrated and worked on these customer
amazing.
journeys. And she was just like, she sent me a message going, I can't believe this. Like somebody's just I've got this client and she's had all the emails and the paperwork and all of this has just happened. And I haven't done anything. Like she's like, I feel, what do I do with this time that I've sort of like it just created the mental energy and the time that you created. So there's definitely a time and a space where we have a system. Hopefully through the strategy, we're talking about that from the beginning, so you don't kind of get in that situation. But so, you know, it's very frequent that people do get in that situation. And then it's about, look, systems can be your friend and can help simplify
It
things.
was
And
when I was talking to a colleague who was like telling me that they go for 3 walks in a day, like one in the morning, one in the mid-afternoon, one towards the end of the day, and they fit in a nap. I was like, how are you doing this? How
have
are you
you got
fitting it
some
all in?
secret?
Like
Yeah,
you've got some kind of clone that's doing the
systems.
work. All about just getting the systems, the right systems to work for you. And I think that's a minefield as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I love you were saying earlier on about me and my team. That's kind of where
Yes.
that's kind of where the team bit comes in. Where we work on set projects for people where they come and we work on a set particular project. So I've set up course platforms for people and set up kind of the systems of email autoresponders and all, you know, these kind of program system stuff. So yeah, we love diving in there and getting into that stuff and really kind of saving people time, money, and effort and making
If
things.
somebody's reached out to me because they want to talk to me about the fact that they're really struggling about anxiety, I want them to feel that they're connecting with me, even if I can't answer the phone. I want them to feel
Yeah,
like they can look at my website and know a little bit about who I am and feel like they're sort of getting to know me as
yeah,
well.
and it doesn't have to be. I think people have this idea that it's going to be impersonal. It's going to be, you know, and it doesn't at all, because your messaging and your words can be your personality and they can be your style, and there's beautiful ways. And actually what it does is it gives people consistent customer service, which actually they really enjoy, rather than I might get back to you, I might not. These people I have, these people I haven't. These people have got these messages and this, but these people haven't. It gets to a point where the hopefully, like I say, we're kind of building that in from the strategy at the beginning,
Mhm.
but um, you know, we can look at that and say, whoa, hang on a minute, having these systems means that everybody gets that same beautiful version of
Like
you.
customer
And
journey.
and
Yeah, and
that,
it's you.
yeah.
It's your style, it's your words.
Yeah, it's your style, it's your words, it's your way of doing something. It's just the fact
Yeah.
that we're putting it into a automated process so that people get the same service and people aren't being left and lost, and you're not losing your your mental energy trying to
No.
cope
And you
with
can
all
be
of
lying
these
on a beach and
things.
it's all just happening in the background. It's
Yeah. And
marvelous.
it's lovely when you are in that situation. So I was on a motorbike in Thailand. I got a ping from an email, and it was like, this person's just signed up to this and paid you. And I was like, my God, this is amazing. You can get to that point, and it is amazing when you wake up in the morning after a night's sleep and somebody's paid you money for
Purchase
something.
something of yours or sign up
Yeah,
for one of your programs, and it's lovely, isn't it? I think what I get whenever I speak to you is I'm reminded to work smarter,
yeah,
harder, and to keep things really simple. We overcomplicate, we overthink, we over worry, and those are all just limitations that we put in place for ourselves. Oh, I think we've definitely spoken about how networking is really valuable and having a structure so that you know where you are now and you know what steps you're taking and you know how you're moving forward and what that looks like, and having the passion and the drive and the motivate keeping up the motivation through the tough times. And then, getting the experience that you need so you can build your confidence
Yeah.
and don't worry about tech. Accept that this is completely new and that it's gonna maybe be a bit uncomfortable while you're learning which things to tap on and what buttons to press. But that once you get it and you've got that know-how, how the automated systems can just set you free and give your customers a really beautiful, your style of welcome to working with you and what you want to do. It's a lovely greeting for them when they book in, as opposed to, it can feel really, those automations can feel really great. Having those techie systems in place that are gonna, do all that for you saves you hours and hours of time, and just ensuring that you're repetitive, you keep repeating the message so that, just because you've spoken about it once, it doesn't mean that you can't speak about it another 10 times on the platforms, because, there's a lot of people looking and they're not going to all see your one amazing post that you put up about the one thing that you're really keen on sharing. It's about just keeping going. I'd love to be able to recommend your book to people as well, because I love it. I love the simplicity of it. I keep going back to it. I dip in and out of it. So go buy Build It Brilliant. It's brilliant. It's on Amazon, isn't it? I think I
Yeah,
got
it's the
it
Build
from
It
you.
Brilliant blueprint. You can get it on Amazon or you can get it off my website. Either or is fine. If you don't like books, you don't like reading, I put it together in a video series as well. So on my website, there's a 3 video series that's called How to Help More Clients Without Burning Out. And effectively, that goes through the same blueprint. So you can either do the video series or you could buy the book. And
I
some
love it.
people have really liked both because they've kind of got the context from the videos and then use that when reading the book. So either of those things will work and kind of get you started.
Fabulous. And how can people get in touch with you and book in with you? And how can they work with you and your team? 'Cause you've got a team now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love it. Everything's under Build It Brilliant. So the YouTube channel is Build It Brilliant. So you can go have a look at that. I'm Build It Brilliant on the Facebooks and the Instagrams. I'm Zoe Thompson on LinkedIn. So you can connect with me on any of those socials. All the details in terms of services that we offer and booking in and things like that are all on the website. Website's Build It Brilliant as well. So builditbrilliant.co.uk. You can go there and have a little bit of a look around. So connect with me, and when people are connected with me, you'll find out about all sorts of stuff.
I love your newsletters. They are fabulous snippets of wisdom. They're really great. I love what you're
Yeah, I
posting
love
out.
doing them. I
Definitely
send
worth signing up for those.
Yeah, so they're called the Brilliant Inspired Insights. I send them once a week and I tend to
That's exactly what they
uh,
are.
that's exactly what they are. I was like, what's the title? Brilliant Inspired Insights. That's what they are. You get kind of
It's so
one
good.
insight each week, and I just share one little nugget that you can implement and take away. Yeah, if you go to the website, there's a sign up form on the homepage for those. So if you just want the inspired insights, then you can sign up there.
And on the Northern College of Clinical Hypnotherapy HypnoBiz page, which
Mm,
is mostly for my students to read and connect, you're on there. Your
I'm
YouTube
on there
channel's
as
on there.
well.
All your links are on there. And for my students, the workshop is available as well. You can watch that, and rewatch it, and hopefully enjoy it. You've enjoyed listening to this episode. I've absolutely loved it, and I'm
Been brilliant.
excited to be catching up with you again, because it's normally years between when we speak. It feels like years, but it was just before Christmas that we managed to hang out, and that was ace. And I'm looking forward to
More of
hanging out
it,
with you later
please.
in the year as
Yeah, more
well.
of it, please.
Plans,
Yeah,
some plans
we'll
in
get some plans. Well,
there.
thank you so much for this. I think it's been such a, fantastic conversation, and I'm sure lots and lots of people will benefit and get lots of wisdom from it. So, yeah.
Listening, watching, like it, share it, get it out there. And thank you for watching Hypno Geeks episode this week. Bye for now.
Bye.